All right, y'all. Thanks for joining me back for another episode here at the Chronicles of a Virgo podcast. And today, y'all, your girl came through with another lovely guest. I am so honored to have this person join me today. Today I have with me Miss Taneshia Johnson. How are you doing today, lady?
Hi, I am excited. So happy to see you and have this conversation.
Yes, we are going to get into some things, y'all. And before we start, as always, I got to start off with my mental health check. So we check in with ourselves. So, Miss Tanisha, if you could just rate your mental health today on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being you feeling good, 1 being I need some pouring somewhere, but I'm managing okay. What would you rate your mental health today?
I'm probably a 3.
A 3?
Yeah,
Okay,
probably
so
a
you
3.
need some extra pouring today.
Probably. Yeah. I think I'm learning that life is like really about understanding how to make those like quick, you know, adjustments. And that's something that I'm still getting like finally now getting a grasp on. Because before, if too many things went bad in one period of time, then I would kind of like just fall apart at the seams. But now it's like I'm getting more skilled and like, okay, this is life. But if I have to be honest about the rating, I'm
Mhm.
probably at a 3.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. Let me see. For me today, I'm gonna say I'm at a 5.
Yes.
Listen, these fives have been just flowing through, honestly, and I am just grateful for it. And when I honestly rate my mental health, I'm really rating it as if, like kind of like mind, body, spirit type thing. So I'm feeling like put together, and I am learning that like when it is not a whole bunch of chaos and conflict going on, that it's okay. Because I've been used to like so much different conflict and just having been in chaotic situations, when I'm at peace, I don't it's hard for me to know the balance, you know? So
Mm,
like now it's just reassuring myself that like it's okay, Shakita. It's okay that nothing is going on. It's okay to just be.
yeah.
So I take these fives with I don't take them with a grain of salt, and my reason for doing these is to encourage everyone to continue to check in with yourselves, have those daily dialogues or out loud for that matter, because I talk to myself, I don't care. Just to check in to see how you're feeling. If something seems off, try to get down to the core of the problem because we're all about healing the root of the problem and not just putting a bandage over top of it. So again, thank you for being a little vulnerable and rating your mental health and telling us what's going on with you.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna get into some things today, y'all. If you're joining me on YouTube, thanks for following me. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, turn on the notification little bell so you know when I post. If not, if you're listening to me on the audio, please go find me on YouTube and check your girl out. Otherwise, however you're listening, trust me when I say this, it is greatly appreciated. Okay. So let's get into some things, Miss Johnson.
Okay.
So, Miss Johnson, I'm going to give you the floor to let everyone know who is Miss Tanisha Johnson.
Thank you. Well, so I am the first time author of the book entitled When Depression and Anxiety Have a Voice. I'm a master level social worker, and I'm also in my 9 to 5, I'm a clinical social worker, and then I'm also a certified life coach.
Mm. Yes, and I was just telling her before we press record that I have been following her for years, few years. Shout out to Janelle. Um, and I adore your content. Like your messages are so raw. Like you keep it real. And I feel like a lot of, social workers and sometimes people in general, they sugarcoat the feelings and the truth about things. So I appreciate you for always keeping it 100 because
Thank you.
you're really out like a lot of your messages and things resonate with me and it's helped me in those moments where I'm like, okay, this popped up for a reason. Who do I gotta have some positive boundaries with? What do I need to do with myself? So definitely keep posting those messages because they are resonating with probably just more than me.
Yes,
And
thank you.
yes, so today we are going to speak from the topic of cultivating positive self-esteem. The reason I wanted to dig a little bit into this topic because I feel like a lot of us women, and just maybe some men out there deal with self-esteem issues and just getting down to the core of what the causation of it is, and maybe how can we come up out of having negative self-esteem. So, how would you define self-esteem in general?
I think self-esteem is like a cluster of like how we feel about ourselves, how the world makes us feel about ourselves, and then the our thought process, our psyche. Um, like to me, that's how I think. That's why I think self-esteem is about. I think all of those three together, create the narrative that we have about our self-esteem.
Yes, and it's so interesting because it's like it's called self-esteem, which is created within the self. However, that's not really the case all the time, right? I feel
No.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of characteristics about ourselves, a lot of beliefs about ourselves, they were things that were embedded in us from the time we were birthed and became children and toddlers and grow up. Like our parents put these
Mm-hmm.
things into us, and other people became, whether it was a positive or negative influence, and all of those things together developed a person's self-esteem, right?
Right.
So how does a person distinguish the difference between like having their own mind around what creates self-esteem for themselves opposed to things that someone else may have left an impression on them with?
I think when we start to really look at self-esteem, we want to make sure like we're asking ourselves those questions like, where is the messaging that I know about myself coming from? And is it true? Is it not true? How is holding on to these messages about myself like holding me back, in my life?
Mm.
Because a lot of times, we're told by our parents like who we are or who they want us to be. And then we kind of end up walking on that path of like, well, this is what everybody's saying I should do, or this is how everybody says I should be responding in this moment. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think we kind of get caught in that, and we start to define ourselves based on really what other people have said and what other people think, about us. And like you said, like the self-esteem is really about self, but I think because we don't know ourselves as we're building that esteem, it starts to get sticky.
Yes, and for me personally, like, and I have briefly told this story before in recent episodes. My whole like healing and self-discovery journey started after my breakup in 2019, honestly, because that was the lowest of the low I probably have ever been in my life. And that was the last time I had my last suicidal attempt. And within that moment, I realized that my self-esteem was developed through other people. You
Right.
know, it was whether it was other people giving me like compliments, other people giving me criticism, all the things that I believed about myself wasn't intentional because I was like, I don't really think all these things, you know? To get a little personal, actually, my ex thought I was the most beautiful person in the world. Like I could not do no wrong in this person's eyes. They worshiped the ground that I walked on, you know. But I fed it, you know, I fed into it for the majority of the time that we were together. But then towards the end of the relationship, I didn't feel that. Like I didn't see what this person seen in me, you know? And at one point I had a conversation with somebody, it was like, where is your self-esteem? Where's this confidence? Like, where's this Shakita or this Kiki, Kita, my nicknames?
Aw.
Where is this person that we're so used to seeing? I'm just like, I don't know what happened to her, you know? And then after that point when everything happened, I realized like I don't think I really knew myself.
Yeah.
And
It's a
like
possibility.
And hearing like a lot of people talk, it seems like people develop their self-esteem or confidence, something has to happen. So for someone that is going through that moment where they're trying to develop like themselves, like how do you think or what do you think is the process of breaking that comfortability cycle where they start working on themselves to develop like their own beliefs about themselves?
No, that's a great question. And so many people out there are trying to do that work. I mean, a lot of times it does happen from like hardships, breakups, disappointments, and then that's when we give ourselves that moment to reflect. And I always tell people it would be beautiful if we could like learn how to reflect while we're in situations like before the pain and suffering and hardship comes, because then we would allow ourselves space to really know who we are. Especially, I deal with a lot of people who struggle with people pleasing and codependency. And so they go through these cycles of like, being so focused on getting that love and support that they've never gotten that they just get overly consumed with the other person and what's going on with them and how can they support them so that they can get their needs met through them.
It
Uh,
is so easy to lose yourself in someone else when you don't know yourself.
it is, yeah, it is. And before you know it, that person is just your whole world.
And you might not like even realize that you become so consumed with this person or just living a certain lifestyle, because you were comfortable in it. And I think that was my whole thing. I was used to a certain lifestyle. I was used to like a lot of different things that I had never experienced before. And coming up out of it, I'm like, this is not me. Like, I need to get back to me. And you brought up a huge thing with the people pleasing, right?
Right.
Because I'm in therapy. Like, I talk about therapy all the time. I had a good therapy session
Yeah.
today. Yes, girl. I'm going to preach to the choir about therapy, okay? I wish everyone would go to the therapy. I understand the resistance that a lot of people have, but baby, trust me, like, when you do the work, you start putting pieces together.
Yeah.
And you brought up people pleasing. Now, I realized personally that my people pleasing came from my trauma, like my childhood trauma. I was sexually abused for a very long time. And within that abuse, trigger warning. Within that abuse, it required me to sexually please the other person, right? And I mean, I was groomed to do certain things that a child never should be even, first of all, think about doing, but taught to do. So within that, I feel like I developed the mindset that I always had to do things to get some type of liking or support or just something from other people, or just to have people around, right? And that became a part of who I thought I was. So do you think that traumatic experiences can have an influence on a person's thought process of how they feel about themselves?
For sure. I mean, it really shapes how we feel about ourselves, because we believe the stories that our parents told us and what we've experienced, right? So it's like, um, I remember I did this workshop. I can't remember if it was my joy on the horizon or if it was my walking in resilience. I can't remember which one it was, but I talked about how we are. There's a few parts that make up who we are. And one of those parts is whatever the emotional state that our parents were in, that became who we were. So it's like if they were always anxious, frustrated, consumed with other things, that's a part we're carrying that, thinking that we're too much, that we have to do more than the other person in order to show our worth, and then there's also the things that we've gone through and experienced. Everything kind of like connects. So it's like the things that we believe about each other, about ourselves, subconsciously, we go out and we create experiences based on that belief. And so that's the reason why we get into relationships where we're being emotionally, verbally, and for some of us physically abused, because that's been normalized. We think that we can change that person. We think that this is how things are supposed to be. This is just life.
Mhm.
And so I do, if we depending on our trauma, that's what we'll see, you know, and our self-esteem and how we behave.
You said so many powerful things. And one thing that came to mind is like we teach people how to treat us
Right.
within treating how we treat ourselves and how we think about ourselves. And when we have a clustered mindset or confused mindset about ourselves, it is a reflection on the outside of us, right?
Mhm.
And I like to think of it like attracts like you attract the energy that you're in and the vibes that you're in. So if I'm not if I'm in like a negative space, I'm going to continue to attract a whole bunch of negative people and negative encounters and etc. So that makes a lot of sense where you said, dang, you made a lot of good points. Now I don't want to jump around. But it does make, dang, you really did. And something is sticking with me, so I must need to say it. So I'm going to say it. You said something about the parents, right? Dang, it took my whole thought left. You said something about the parents, like the energy field, like what the parents were in. I used to see a forensic psychologist. Listen,
Oh,
girl,
look
I
at
was,
you. You was doing your work.
yes, listen, I was
Love it.
2019 was a testament in itself. But I was seeing a forensic psychologist, and one thing that she told me, because like part of my treatment was talking about like family stuff or whatever, is that if a parent has more than one child, they tend to parent that child according to the timeline that they were in when they had that child.
Yes.
So, if the oldest child was conceived on a very traumatic time or struggling point, 9 times out of 10, their parenting skills with that child are not going to always be the best. Let's say they had another child and it was on a very good moment. They may have married the person, just lived a very lavish life. More than likely, the upbringing for that child is going to be a little bit more different from the first child. Um, and unfortunately, it indebts on the child's mindset, and the child will grow up to think they're not good enough. They will develop more people pleasing tendencies and things. And she was, of course, speaking about me, but it it made a lot of sense because it shows the impact of a parent
Yeah.
and the characteristics that we have even in our adult years, right? You
Yeah.
know, and it's hard to change some of those things.
It is, you know, and it is, and you know, Keita is because 80, I feel really bad. I'm not a parent yet, you know, but I feel I have a lot of empathy for parents because it's a heavy load put on you. But it's like pretty much like 80% of a human brain grows between 0 to 6. They used to say 0 to 5, now they're saying 0 to 6.
Mm.
And so that's why those years are crucial because even though like a child can't speak and they can't really like, you know, express their emotions, they're absorbing everything like a sponge. And so it's like subconsciously, whatever is going on, you know, the child is like, they're learning survival skills, you know, on how to adapt. It's like that parent child relationship is the very first relationship that we ever have in life.
Mm.
And so that becomes the roadmap now to how to interact with other people. You know, it's like
Mm.
for myself, like I had an absent father, and a mother who, you know, she worked a lot. She was consumed by other things. And so the message that I got was, I must be too much because nobody is taking care of me, at least not in an emotional way.
Mm.
And so let me try to be the best. I learned that emotional support has to be earned. I
Mm.
go when my father's not here, so let me be the best, you know, best daughter, best grades, so that you want to spend time with me, so that you see how bright I'm shining and you pay attention to me. Same thing, you know, with my mom. And so that unfolded into me thinking that I had to be quote unquote perfect in the world. So now I'm trying to be the best friend. When I'm dating someone, I'm the best girlfriend. At work, I'm the best, the best colleague. I'm the one that goes above and beyond because I've been conditioned to believe that I have to do better than everybody else just to get a little bit of attention and recognition.
Oh, that came full circle so crazy. But that the way you the way you explained it, it makes sense out of I'm pretty sure someone else is out there is listening that can like probably resonate with that. My mom was a single parent for a portion of my childhood, and I've also had a little sister. I feel like a lot of my life was me trying to survive because I
Mm,
was taught how to survive from a very young age because I watched my mother struggle. So I watched her overcome a lot of things. So it was equipping me to not get in those situations, or if I was ever in certain situations, I knew how to get out of them.
right.
Um, and she had, my grandmother was a single mother and she had 6 kids, you know, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So like I feel like my whole upbringing was me surviving. So now I'm being an adult. I'm unfortunately having to clean up a lot of things that happened, and it's like changed my mindset about what I thought was once Shakita or different things about me. And and don't get me wrong, I've come a long way. Okay. Like I've come a mighty long way, but it has not been easy
yeah.
to like it has not been easy. Like I still go through my days where I'm sitting like, man, maybe I need to do this. Like I'm second guessing myself sometimes to figure out like if I should do this, if I shouldn't, when I know I really should not do this. Like, create these boundaries. You gotta create boundaries with yourself too.
Yeah, you do. And I
You
feel
know?
like by you doing the work, me doing the work, that's us that's putting ourselves first and acknowledging like, hey, I want things to be different, for me and the generation behind me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that makes so much sense, man. Oh, see, it's always work to be done.
We never done, as they
I
say.
know. I know. So within talking about building like positive self-esteem and stuff, something that I thought about was the whole egotistic mindset
Mm,
and being able to distinguish the difference between thinking from your ego mindset opposed to just like I like to say like your higher self. So how would you distinguish like self-esteem and ego? Because to me, they're two
mm.
different things.
Yeah, they are. I'm thinking about it now because, yeah, they are two different things. I think ego is more internal, right? Like,
Mhm.
ego is like how we carry our self esteem out to the world,
Mhm.
versus like the self esteem itself is like a component of just like how we feel about ourselves, how,
Mhm.
um, and our experiences and yeah, and that thing. If I had to think about it, I guess ego is more so like what the world sees of how we think about ourselves.
That's a good way to put it because it doesn't make it seem as bad as it possibly can be. Because you know how like they say sometimes people make choices based upon their ego, like
Yeah.
you know. So to me, I feel like I feel like with separating the two, self esteem is like your true self, like your true internal developed beliefs about yourself, um like all of those things that you've been able to like work on and revert from. So like for example, like if I was a person that felt like I wasn't good enough or I felt like I was like not attractive, me developing positive self-esteem, I'm the baddest bitch out there now. um I'm gonna put me first, and the ego kind of like trumps that. Like it's like you said, it's the driving force that pushes all of those things out there. That is an awesome way. You should do a class on that. You
Mm,
should do a class on that.
yeah, I didn't think about this.
That girl, that is good. That is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever dealt with any type of self-esteem issues?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I still do. I think now because I'm older and life is more, I've just had so many wake up calls about what life is all about. I don't think I let it get in, like, bother me like I used to. But
Mhm.
oh, for sure. I mean, the combination of, you know, having an absent father and, you know, being a dark skinned woman, I'm also a plus size woman, is like the world just treats you like crap.
Yeah.
Like you really have to have those internal knowledge about yourself. Like, I deserve the whole space here. I am beautiful. I am worthy. Like, you really have to carry that. And before, when I was younger, I didn't have that, because it's like the father's role, like in especially in a daughter's life, is to help her with her worth. And when
Mhm.
you look at a lot of people, like a lot of women who don't have fathers in the home, they also are the ones that are insecure, struggle with self-esteem. Whereas women who did grow up with their fathers, and their father being active too, of
Mhm.
course, you see a complete shift, like
Mhm.
complete shift. Like, I have friend, prime example, me and one of my girlfriends went to a restaurant the other day,
Mhm.
and we ordered a salad. They hardly put any croutons on the salad. Me, from my background, I'm just like, well, I guess maybe something's happening in the kitchen. I know everything is, harder to get. I'm just going to enjoy my salad. Her, she's like, no, we're paying for this. We should get exactly what it looks like on the menu. So she calls the guy back, and all that stuff. And even though that's a basic example, it's because she knows she's been installed since she was born
Mhm.
that she deserves the whole space in this world. And
Mm.
anything that she wants or needs, she should be able to get it, and it should be equal. Whereas with me, I was born with a different perspective. Nobody wants me. They don't want me to be here. I need to find a way to figure out how to live life, but be out of the way. So it really gives you an example of, even with that small thing, I'm the one like, no, I don't want to cause any problems. I'm just going to, be grateful and eat it. Where she like, no, we paying
Yeah.
$200 for this. It's supposed to look like this.
Yes, that makes so much. Oh man, you dropping some gems. Ooh, you dropping some gems. But it makes sense because my aunt's daughter is 7, and she has a 5-year-old brother as well, and they all live under the same roof, mommy and daddy in the house and everything. And when I tell you that this 7-year-old's confidence is out of this world, it's like through the roof. I mean, like she even walks like, and it's like it's a little arrogant, right? It can come off a little arrogant, but it makes so much sense. And like her father, like when she gets her hair done, because I do her hair every 2 weeks. Like she like, I have to go show my daddy my hair. I have to go show my brother my hair. But it makes so much. I'm like, you want to go show your mother? I'll show her later. Like she runs to him, but it makes sense because he's like, okay, girl, I see you. It looks so beautiful. Like that makes so much sense at a small age. You can't tell her nothing. Like you literally can't tell her nothing. And I didn't meet my father until I was 22. Okay. But I never like missed out on things. Like I had an uncle until he passed away. My mom did marry, so I had my sister's father, but I've always had like male figures in my life. I know at the end of the day, they can never replace what a good dad or a good father is supposed to do. But for some reason, I never felt like I had daddy issues, right?
Right.
But I did get a little jealous sometimes because like my sister, her father, like that was her father. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get that relationship, and I had to be the child that was seen and not heard, because I was like always in something, but it wasn't me trying to be like in trouble all the time. I was like I was asking to be seen for a reason. Like I need y'all to rescue me from what's going on, you know? And growing up, I feel like my self-esteem that I did have was built by my aunt one of my aunts and my grandmother, because I've always had a very close relationship with both of them until my grandmother passed away in 2020, and I like been trying to rebuild that whole part of me. But it was just the messages, the wisdom that they both collectively instilled in me.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to school. I played basketball. I ended up going to get my master's degree. You know,
Oh,
like my aunt was like my idol. Like no shade or nothing towards my mom, because me and my mom, we graduated from undergrad together. The same day, like we both got our bachelor's degrees in criminal justice. But it hit a little different with my aunt and my grandmother, like how they poured into me. So I definitely understand, like when you grow up one way, how that rolls over to affect like your whole livelihood.
yeah.
Because everything that I tried to do as an adult a couple years ago, um, I don't know, I tried to live for myself, not realizing that I wasn't living. I was in survival mode all of my life. And I was trying to live within the image of what they wanted me to be.
Right.
Even going to school for certain things at one point and having a career. It's like, oh, I got to study this and do this because this is what this person did and that person did. And now being 2023, it's like, did I really have to go get a degree? You know, like, so that makes so much sense. So you spoke on different things that can impact your self-esteem, being a beautiful black woman, being a plus size beautiful black woman at that. um how do you cope with like every day when, like, if those things come up throughout the day, how do you cope with that?
Self-love has been big for me, just knowing that, and also accepting that, nobody is everybody's cup of tea, right? I mean, everybody has flaws, everybody has things that they're working on, and there's external beauty and there's internal beauty, right? And I think that for a lot of women, especially like around my same complexion and stuff like that, like we have to understand that we have both as well. It may not look like, what we may not be walking around, looking like a supermodel or anything like that, but that does not mean that you're not beautiful. Like
Mhm.
beauty is defined by by the eyes of the beholder. And the first set of eyes that is looking at us is us.
Mhm.
So it's like we have to know, like, you know what, I am beautiful. I deserve to hold space here in this world. And so that's what I remind myself of. I was just telling one of my friends the other day, like this guy that I was dating, like he mentioned to me, he was like, Tanesha, one of the reasons why I chose you is because of your heart.
Mhm.
He was like, I love the way you think. I love the way you support me, mentally and emotionally. And those things, make you beautiful to me. And that really helped me a lot because I'm like, okay, there's women out here that attract a guy based on external beauty, right? And then there's also women like myself who the external beauty is there because we are beautiful, but the biggest light that we have is our heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tanesha, you need to be yourself. Stop being fearful. Stop being scared. Be yourself so that people can truly fall in love with you, not just like intimate relationships, but like with my friends, with my family, everybody. Because I was scared to be myself for a long time. In the
Mhm.
beginning, it was like, I don't know who I am. Then I went through this period of, okay, I know who I am, but how do I present this to the world now? Because this is not the person I've been, and now it's like, I'm just going to walk in the spirit of who I am, and whoever falls off, I have to accept that the relationship was what it was and wish them the best, you know.
Mm, mm, mm. I feel like that is what like partially going through now, and as crazy as it may sound to some people, like being like I've dealt with the whole complexion issues as well. Literally was
Yeah.
just telling my therapist this today. My therapist is a white woman, but she asked me some challenging questions today. Let me tell you, she really hit me with the okie doke.
Daggers.
She did. And I told her, I said, lady, do you know that like I fight to defend myself that I am black? Because people look at me and they think otherwise or whatever.
So me that
And um, even like my friends, like they know, like the whole having the whole privilege conversation, it is cringy to me, like what is it, the light skin versus dark skin privilege. That's why I've never had the conversation because it is cringy because it's an ugly reality to realize, even if you wasn't doing it intentionally, it's just ugly to realize that things like that continue to happen.
yeah.
But as you see on social media now, more conversations are being had about it, and you realize, and what I have realized is, yes, more darker skinned women, even men, are ones that have a lot of self esteem issues. But lighter skinned people like myself, and like I'm thick. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thick. And despite what anybody else say about my physical appearance and features, I need to be comfortable with myself, like you said. And if that's not there for anybody, to me, it doesn't matter what nobody else on the outside say. And I told one of my best friends a couple months ago, like trying to get back in like the dating world and stuff. I want someone to see me for what's in here and what's in up
Yes.
here. Like
Yes.
back in the day, running the streets and wearing little skimpy outfits and had the little physique and all that. That was then. But like now that I don't realize that, oh, I was acting based upon like maybe a trauma response, and that I was just trying to fill a void that wasn't even like my fault. Now that I'm trying to really come out my shell and be my true authentic self in all spaces, I don't want to be looked at as a sex symbol for one.
That's
I want
right.
I want you to see me for like my knowledge and like what type of genuine heart I really have. And it's hard. Like it's hard.
It
um
is. It is.
but what type of like advice would you have for someone out there that's dealing with that? Like they're trying to continue to discover themselves and show up in spaces as themselves, but they struggle reverting back to maybe things that got them the attention that they once desired.
Wow, that's a good one, Keita. I think I would tell them to like fall in love with yourself, and we do that by going back to things that we used to do to take care of ourselves, or finding new things, you
Mhm.
know, that we have always wanted to do. And it's like through those experiences, we fall in love with ourselves. And it's kind of like a step by step process, it
Mhm.
just walks you through a journey of loving yourself, knowing yourself. And once you know yourself, you also start to know that you're worthy. And so you don't care as much about like if people don't like you, or if people that you're interested in, like dating or getting to know you, if you don't vibe with them or they don't want to vibe with you. It's just like, okay, cool, whatever, because you know that you're worthy. And
Mhm.
so that's what I would say. Because yeah.
That self love and that self worth hit a lot different. Like I never knew the lingo self love ever until like a couple years ago. Like even self care, like what was self care? I thought it was
But
just
it's self-care, right?
going to get my hair and nails done. No, it's so much more. Well, to each his own, but I feel like it's so much more than just the maintenance part, right?
Right.
And as I was listening to you talk and you were talking about self love, I instantly thought about Mary J. Blige's song "Good Morning, Gorgeous."
Yes, I love Mary, and that song is beautiful.
And I thought about that song, and like I remember her doing an interview and saying like she, woke up and she wanted to pour like a message out there to someone that didn't feel like they loved themselves. And I remember when that song first came out, when I tell you I literally listened to it every single morning. faithfully. Now, not so much, but because I got other stuff in my catalog. But I feel like if you fill your spirit with positive things, with positive messages, like whether it's like musics that have like affirmations, like Tony Jones. You ever heard of Tony Jones before?
No,
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Tony
Oh my god!
Jones. I had to look him up.
No, it's a woman.
Her.
Yes, I'm at the send. I'm gonna send you her Instagram and all that, girl, because I've been following Tony since like 2020. Tony makes like affirmational music, but it's kind of like a hip hop type thing.
Wait a minute. I think I have her. I think I've been places and they've been playing her in the background.
She is a whole vibe. Like I love Tony, but her music has messages, like positive messages you want to keep on replay. Like, and I'm not, no shade to like just the regular R&B hip hop because I listen to all that. Okay, Beyonce, Meg, I still listen to it. But
Right.
in regards to like building yourself up, there are other outlets of like positive music that actually sounds good. Um, I can remember like when I was going through my whole crisis moment in 2019, one thing that I did, and this may sound so crazy, was I took red lipstick and I wrote "I love you" on my bedroom mirror because I had to see it every morning. So when I seen it every morning, I had to read it and I started reading it out loud. And I had like sticky notes of like affirmations in my closet. I took that from being Mary Jane, honestly. Like how she had the quotes.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, I made it into affirmations though, like because those are like I feel like those are like reminders to yourself. Like you read those things, so definitely take the time to like find what works for you. And not only that, like what does self-love look like to you and not everybody else?
Yes. Man, that's like that deserves it.
No, seriously, because I
Man.
always be on here talk. I be talking so much about like how I dislike social media because people find their favorite content creators that talk about a lot about their journeys, their healing journeys, and they want the glitz and the glam parts of it, but they don't know what really it took to get to that point. And then when
Mhm.
you wake up one day and you be like, hold on, was this a part of the plan? You're like, yeah, those bad moments you're gonna feel like icky, the whole self-love journeys. I feel like there's so much more harder when you really don't know who you are and you don't know how to find love within yourself. And all the love you've ever had has come from other people on outside, you know?
Mhm.
So it's definitely a process. It's definitely a process. How would you say like your whole self-discovery and self-love process is going?
That part is going really well. I think now that I'm not trying to control it, control the outcome, like I'm actually able to like live in the moment and experience
Mm.
it. And so that's been really good. Um, I did want to say that like one of the reasons why I recommend like pausing and just getting to know who you are as like a part of finding your self-worth is because for me, like I used to love writing. Like I had a journal when I was like 6 years old. And I used to write poetry and then I used to like write stories and songs. And as I got older, it's like I kind of just let all that go and I fell into people pleasing, trying to get caught up with all my friends and everybody to make for sure I was always in the mix and never left out, and all those things. And I lost myself. And when I got depressed, and I realized I was like codependent. I was going to codependent anonymous meetings, and I completed like this 12-step program, like to
Oh
heal from
wow.
codependency. And in the program, it's like when you do stuff like that, there's nothing but workbooks, you know. And I was like, here I am writing, again. And something clicked. Like, that's right. Like this was healing for you. This was something that you like to do. And one of my friends was like, you always saying so many great things. Like you should like find a way to post it out, And I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever. So 2018, I started TJ Self Care.
That's where I found you at.
Wow. Yeah, I started, it was 2018. Wow, I can't believe it was like 5 years ago. And I literally like used to just post quotes on my head, and like it's like almost up to like 10,000. Yeah, it's like 11,000 followers now.
Mm,
So
that's
it's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because you said like you just live in the moment. Honestly, and I'm being so real right now, but I can tell like you have this glow. Like when I see you on social media, like you have this natural like just glow, and I'm like, man, that's what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get. Like you could just tell like I don't know, this may sound so crazy, but I could tell you've done like some work and like everything that you're pouring out, like you mean that because you have lived it or you're living it right now. Like these are the things that you need to do because they work for sure. And I'm living testament of it. So shout out to you for that because I can definitely tell like you're
Oh, thank
literally,
you.
yeah, it's like you're literally walking, you're a walking abundance of love. Like I can tell. And like, there is, and Janelle will kill me if I because I don't remember, but you use the color yellow a lot. And I know yellow has a meaning behind it. Do you know what the meaning is?
Yeah, it's what is it? Yellow is like what energy, vibrant, something else. I should know these things.
But like like that matches your energy and everything that you pour out in your podcast. Oh, we gotta talk about that. So what made you go? What made you start that?
I honestly did not want to start my podcast. My business coach, shout out to David Shans, but he he encouraged me to start a podcast because he was like, you need a platform where people can just listen. Like you can't, what if Instagram breaks down? Like what if Facebook stops? How is your message supposed to get out to the world? So that's why I started the podcast. But now, like, I love it. Like, I've recorded a podcast in the car today because I hadn't recorded in like 3 weeks.
How did
Now,
you come up with the name of it?
heal, pray, grow. So I was thinking about just where I was in my life at the moment. And I was like, well, how did I really get here? And I was like, well, I healed, I prayed, I asked God to help me. And from that, it just started growing. And I was
I
like,
love
there
it.
it is, heal, pray, grow.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So this conversation has been so filling. I appreciate you so much for this and just for all the work in general and all the lovely messages. You know who you remind me of? When you put your message out, you know who Dr. I think Dr. Thelma is?
Yes, her book Homecoming. I have it. I'm like
I,
on chapter 3. I love her.
I listen to her podcast. Like your stuff reminds me of her stuff, like side by side. Like, and for some reason, I feel like half the time when after I read one of your posts, like she pops up because I follow her. But like y'all stuff like resonate with me so much. So definitely keep doing the good work because you're helping me. I know for a fact you got to be out here helping the 10,000s of people that's following you and listening to your podcast.
Yes. And Keita, you have a glow about you too. I just want you to know, like, and it stands out. You really walking in your purpose with this podcast because I listen to your podcast and like the information you share is needed because these are topics we don't talk about enough, especially in our community.
Thank you. And you know, it's a challenge. I'm gonna be real because you ever get in a space where you want to talk about certain things, but you don't know how the message is going to be received or if it's going to reach the right people. Just like when
Every episode.
I lost my train of thought because I really had something to say, but that other point was pulling me and guiding me, and I had to say that one. So like I'm just out here doing the Lord's work, honestly.
You really are.
I'm
Yes.
trying. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And just wrapping this up, can you please tell everyone where they can find your social media, your books, your podcast? She got it going on, y'all. Where can they tap in with you at?
Yeah, so my website, tjselfcare.com, it has links to my YouTube channel, Facebook group, the podcast. I also have a quiz on there. If you're wondering if you struggle with codependency or people pleasing, you can take the quiz. I have a free 5-step guide too. It's called Living Free. So if you go to the shop, if you click on the shop option, it'll take you to my shop where you can find my book. I have a webinar as well about people pleasing. So yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of free stuff on my website.
Nice. And if someone wanted to work with you, can they tap in with you through your website or social media or email?
Yeah, they can book the first consultation is $29. And then from there, I have all kinds of different plans. I have my 8-week coaching program. I have monthly coaching. I have bi-weekly coaching. I have VIP days. I don't push the VIP days too much, but for people who want to go through the 10-week program in 3 weeks instead of 10, I do have that option as well.
Okay, y'all. So, and I will have all of her information linked below in the description box. And your podcast, they can find it on all of the major podcast streaming sites as well, too, right?
Yes, it's on I'm not on Apple, but I'm on Spotify,
Okay.
Google Podcasts, Anchor, what's the other one? Radio Republic, something like
Yeah.
that. And Amazon.
Okay. So, and again, I will have all of her links below so you guys can go check in with her and see all the amazing things she has to offer. Please follow her, please. I promise. I know I get on here begging every time I have a guest, but like for real, like please go follow her. Um, Again, I thank you for this whole conversation. Do you have any final words of encouragement or motivation for someone out there that's listening that may need some extra pouring on this topic?
If I could say one thing, it would be to every experience that we have, just allow God and life to teach you the lessons that it's trying to teach you. Don't question it. And when you do, give yourself space to fall apart, but then also give yourself space to like understand why you're going through it. Because now that I've been doing this healing work now for 9 years, I'm really starting to see how sometimes our lack of like understanding life prevents us to really look at what's happening, because we get caught in that emotional part of our brain that's like wired to just react and not respond. So that's one message that I would say. Just breathe through everything and yeah.
I needed that message. Thank you for that. And just to add, because it came to thought, take breaks.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Take breaks, please.
Take breaks because I didn't realize how hyper focused I was on healing and
Mhm.
and and self improvement. And my therapist was like, "You need to be able to distinguish this part of you and this part of you." Like pretty much, she was saying distinguish like my human self and my spiritual self, right? Because
Right.
the conflict I was having was I was like having more of spiritual processes, mental processes and things. When life happens on the human side, I was resisting those human feelings and emotions and all that stuff. And I
Mm.
couldn't process it. I was like more of a spirit. I'm like, well, this is why. No, Shakita, just cry.
Yeah, it's okay to just let go.
Just cry, girl. No, you just go take a nap. Like, like though, like it's okay. So take breaks, and unfortunately, like I said this and I set the tone for it. Like there's probably always going to be something to heal from. Like you heal from one thing, and when you
Mm.
heal from that, you're more equipped with the different resources and coping skills to help you maneuver life and get through different encounters. So if something else comes up, boom, you got a toolbox of stuff ready. Now everything may not fit, but at least you can start somewhere.
Right. I love that.
You can start
Ooh,
somewhere.
you talk about me. It's like, man, Keita dropping it today too. You gotta give yourself credit.
Thank you. We doing the Lord's work together, sis.
Yes, I love it. That was a gem for me.
I don't know where it came from. It may have been something that I need. I don't know. Sometimes I be shocking myself, like, did I say that? Like, but look, somebody needed to hear it. So if you're out there and it resonates, take it in. If it doesn't, that's okay. But again, thank you for joining me for this lovely conversation. And thanks for everyone for tapping in with us. If this did not resonate with you, that is okay. Like I always say, please, by all means, share it with someone else that it may resonate with. Because we out here doing the Lord's work and we trying to save lives and take people on some healing journeys with us. But again, all of Tanishia's information will be in the description box. So please go tap in with her. Um, I will also have my information in the description box. So you can, if you guys are not following me on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Chronicles of a Virgo podcast on all those platforms. The links will be below. But come follow me on YouTube as well. My new YouTube page, your girl out here trying to show her face and do some more things. So definitely come tap in with me. And thank you guys for your continued support. As
Yeah.
always, I love y'all and continue to take care of yourselves and most importantly, take care of each other's. And we are out.
Bye.